Yeah, listen, we're going to move on to... Gee whiz, this just cheered me up after the Ireland game.
It did. It was actually the only medicine that could have worked, because we were all in very much a depressing mindset coming off that. But and the first half didn't do much to improve it. It was just England rampaging through them and looking very physical and very accurate.
It was pretty class. It was very physical. It was very high tempo. They kept increasing the tempo, and Scotland just couldn't deal with it. They were doing their best, they'd have some first phase kind of positive plays where Sam Johnson would like shoot out of the line on Tuilagi and just stop him, and that was great. But then the ball, like Tuilagi, it was still having to soak it a little bit because Tuilagi's such a big man, and the ball was instantly quick and outside, and Grigg was just that little bit slower to get to the outside, and then all of a sudden they were ahead of it. They got an offload away, and they just never let up that tempo in that opening 30 minutes, and Scotland
they did, though.
Couldn't flounder. But I mean, for 30 minutes and 31 points, it was just constant, and Scotland just couldn't deal with it. They had their plans in defence. Their centres were stepping up. That first try was
Johnson actually defended super well. I was very impressed. Like, he made a few very sore-looking, brave tackles on Tuilagi, where he definitely he did well in the contact, but you definitely feel like he came off the worst for the exchange. Tuilagi just bounced back to his feet, ready to charge again, and him going like, ugh. But fair play to him, he did it all day, and England slowed down.
They did, but after like, you have to just give credit to that opening 30 minutes of just supremely beautiful
brilliant
rugby.
Display,
great classic English rugby. It was power, but then it was speed, and then they were running off on each other. Like, they're all doing their Chris Ashton impressions these days. Like, their tracking running is excellent. They're turning line breaks into tries, and they're just never letting up. They're never letting the play die. When they know they have the foot on the neck of Scotland, they didn't let the play die. They just kept going until the try was there. And a couple of little great variations. That opening Noel try was great. Bit negative from the Scottish perspective, in the sense that there should have been just a bit more heads of communication at the death of that try, because the outside was covered and he stepped in and three of them were pushing the outside. It's like, just one of them needed to be on that outside track and another of them needed to be on the inside, and that's how you shut it down. But he stepped in and all three of them were like, oh no, and there he went.
Indeed.
It was very much caught cold as far as the Scots are concerned.
And there were a few other incidents. What, that Maul try as well was another one that they really should have been a bit more aware of on the 5 metre line. They had already formed the pod. The pod was formed at the front of the line, and it was just like Dell at scrum half in behind, and Nell there. I think Gilchrist was on his own and got blitzed out of it by 5 English forwards, as he naturally would. That would have been a frightful sight if you were a Scottish fan watching it, because it's just like, come on, guys, like, you need to defend. At least make them throw to the back.
And a part of it was just how quick England were. They were just that bit quicker for that whole opening 30 minutes.
Speed of thought and action, and it was very, very impressive. But equally impressive was Scotland's then resurgent display. I've never seen the like of it.
No, never seen the like, indeed. Started with just, and I was buzzing at the time when he scored it, even when I thought it could be a consolation in a big score, was McAnally's run after that charge down. It was an unforced error from Farrell. He didn't need to kick it. It was a strange call. It was a lot of strangeness from Owen Farrell on the day.
It wasn't a good performance.
Crazy bad performance. And then that charge down from McAnally, but then the gas and the step to beat Johnny May and Farrell hunting him down from either side.
He ran the perfect angle, took him on the angle,
and got the better of Johnny May, and then Faz just couldn't believe that he couldn't catch him. He's looking shocked, like, what the hell? Slow down. And he wouldn't.
What a fatty try. I love it. Modern fatties.
McAnally's great. I really like him.
He's an absolute baller. And thoroughly deserved. He finished that tremendously. It was literally
incredible
from around 60 yards out. Great stuff. Finish. He can remember that one for quite a while, running the length of Twickenham.
That's extraordinary.
But but it turned out not to be a consolation try at all, but a Calcutta Cup retaining one potentially. Because like, the second half display was absolutely phenomenal, and it was just a Finn show, really. Like, the forwards, you're right in saying, stepped up properly,
and have done every game.
I've done every game. This is it. Like, Edinburgh will be bolstered by that fact, because there was a lot of Edinburgh later in that team, and they really, as well as they got blitzkrieged initially, but they levelled it out and managed to get enough go forward so that Finn had time on the ball,
and he was put on the outside, which is key. They put him in that, like, 13, almost in between 12 and 13 in your traditional setup, and made him make plays from there. And then it's just, Finn with a hot hand is the sexiest thing in rugby. It's just, it's unreal to watch him. He's got great vision. That, like, the no look Paul to Johnson. It's just the audacity of everything that he does and tries.
Cheeky. He plays with a cheeky smirk.
But then he does things nobody else can do. I mean, he's just, and plays with such pace and he's such vision. He's a reader of the game. He is a Kiwi in Scottish colours, and it's just a wonderful thing to see for the tournament. It's what the tournament needed.
Bagged himself another crucial intercept as well by doing just that, reading that. It's a similar kind of setup as well. It's just becoming by rote the 10 to inside forward pod, and Finn is gobbling those up very nicely. And there were some great tries. I really did enjoy the last try they scored, Sam Johnson's one.
Yeah, that was the no-look ball.
But Johnson finished it tremendously.
Looked almost like Hugh Jones last year.
He did actually, gliding through them. Yeah,
he put that just like little bit of step where he just convinced them that he was going between the two lads, and there was two lads here, and then just before he stepped, he kind of leaned in and was like, "I'm going here between the two of you to set it up." 2 weeks soft shoulders, and then just stepped off it, and Noel bought in, and just got beat 100% beat, and then the other lad was sort of scrambling to get back.
Daly was also there,
and it was just it was a very clever little
great finish
play. He added a lot to the game.
He did. He played brilliantly. They're like Scotland. It was great to see, because we were just saying that they couldn't. We were questioning what form it would take, because they're based this their whole game were basically around Finn Russell and trying to be as quick and as aggressive and accurate in attack.
Crucially, the Scottish boys around them, their hands were perfect in that second half. They were doing quick things at pace, and it was a little bit of vindication for Gregor Townsend, in the sense that I know he had that argument with Finn and whatever, but it was that quick rugby, and like you were questioning whether the Edinburgh boys could do it. There wasn't much evidence that the whole team could do it, to be honest, on the form of the Six Nations, but it was orchestrated by Finn Russell, but executed by the guys around him as well. And they played heads up, they played running rugby, they firmly pressed the fucking button, but did it in a controlled, pacey, we love to play rugby kind of way. And as in terms of big picture for the rest of the season, it is going to be 40 minutes or whatever it was, 50 minutes of rugby that will just greatly increase their confidence
and increase their chances as well. Like we were fearful for now that it's resuming kind of European stuff for Edinburgh and Glasgow in their forthcoming fixtures, and still wouldn't rate Glasgow's chances too highly, but
Faz will be out for revenge.
That's true, but it's obviously going to be much more of a confidence booster than really the whole tournament. It's exactly what Scotland needed, some showing, and it was away from home as well. It was in Twickenham, and it means they retained the Calcutta Cup, which is obviously the bittersweet, because the draw is a disappointment considering where they were. Like it's so funny about Scotland. Like they first of all they blew the game, and then when the game was lost, they did, as you say, push the bucket button, and then played some beautiful rugby when there was nothing to lose, and then the second they had something to lose, they lost it.
And there's definitely a mindset issue going on. When the pressure soaks up, they just kind of go into the shell,
contract
very noticeably.
And you could see that all play out.
That's it. I think crucial, and like it feels mean to say it. It feels weird to say it for a couple of reasons, but it was like the presence of Greg Laidlaw did them very badly, and that was partly because Ali Price was having the game of his life. He was getting quick ruck ball, he was passing perfectly. He created that phenomenal assist for Magnus Bradbury's try, where he just a sign of the English just being off the pace in terms of just that little scrummy picks it up and then just decides, because there's no pillar there's a pillar is just sort of back in the line just to chip it over the top. No one in that backfield, I'll take it, I'll pop it to Magnus who's run in because the fullbacks come charging at me.
It's a play that never should really be happening at all. But
it's like that time that Mike Blair got a drop goal against Leinster off the base of a ruck.
I remember that play. That was very disappointing.
It was a similar kind of thing. Just the scrummy picks it up. It's like, oh, there's no pressure on me. Think, it's like
why not? From the defence's point of view. England's just the difference between them in the first 30 versus the rest of the game was shocking, and they seemed powerless to stop Scotland from scoring. They were just praying that Scotland would not keep scoring.
Well, this was the thing. One of the noticeable thing that they kept doing was trying to keep the tempo up. Scotland would score a try, they'd kick it back into Scotland's territory, and Scotland would then kick it out, and England would throw it in straight away, which is what they've been doing in the opening 30. Let's keep the tempo high, let's make them miss tackles, they won't be able to recover in time before we scored a try. But then that actually wasn't working. England were stuttering a little bit, and they didn't identify that probably what needed to be done was the game needed to be slowed down a little bit. You need to get your forwards onto the ball, you needed to make Scotland make some soak tackles. More bad noises. Scotland needed to make some soak tackles and then maybe ping the ball back down and make them exit again and slow everything down, because Scotland are on a roll right now and we need to slow this down.
It's true.
Whereas they just kept speeding it up and speeding it up and speeding it up, and then errors came and big turnovers came, and what about that Finn steal as well?
Ripping through.
Incredible.
Who was it that he got off fire? Was it Genge?
I think it might have been Ellis Genge.
Ellis Genge
he was at the heart of quite a bit bad.
Most things that were wrong, and it wasn't as it normally is. Sinclair, making some horrendous plays, but no, Genge was
another
pretty
big prop
terrible.
Forward.
Like throughout, he came on early enough, didn't he? Because there was an injury. I think
that's right.
And
Ben Moon.
Bad
news for Exeter.
That's true, actually, but very, very disappointing showing from him. But also England just notoriously poor at adjusting on the fly. It normally takes them till they get to the sheds before they kind of realise what's going on. And the game was very much slipping away from them. And actually, credit to George Ford. He came in, needed to be Farrell needed to be replaced. His head was kind of gone, particularly after throwing that intercept. He looked close to tears.
He did. It wasn't good. He was looking like there's that shot of him looking from left to right, like he didn't know what was going on. I've never seen him like that. He's very controlled. His decision making is very good. But whatever was going on in that camp, they were obviously like screaming at each other. And part of it was just Scotland clicked into gear and were just throwing baller plays at them constantly. And England were like, they had that narrow rush blitz that they could never really get going, but they did get it going for that one play. And Finn just got it on the edge and floated like a sort of no look, like it was instinctual because they were flying up on him. Floaty ball off the left that actually travelled at some tilt and was just perfectly into the breadbasket of Maitland coming from a mile away. And he just took it, popped it to Darcy Graham. You're not stopping him, and it's a try. And that was England like trying to get their defensive hustle going. And Finn, as he did last year, just exposing the narrowness of it. And it was perfect rugby from Scotland.
It was, and that's it also probably does shatter kind of English confidence a bit when mid-game, like you could feel the energy in the crowd being sapped away. Like the first half it was raucous, chariots roaring, and then at little parts in the second half during Scotland's resurgence there was like a kind of more urgent kind of come on kind of rendition of the chariots, and then by the end it was just like murmuring kind of noises from the crowd, which was very satisfying to watch from an Irish point of view, rather cheekily. But it was also like, it's probably just interesting on the mindset. Like we were musing on Ireland as being perennial underdogs, and like small island mindset really don't wear the favourites tag with any kind of grace, or we really don't handle it that well at all. Whereas England are kind of the opposite. They perform best when they talk themselves into believing that they're the best team in the world. And that's like a completely different way of looking at it. But then it's probably very important for their confidence that they are much better than Scotland. That's how they are in their heads. It's like, we are much better than Scotland. We are a much better team than Scotland. And all that they were being shown in the second half was that wasn't the case at all. And Scotland were actually rampaging in their home turf, and they seemed powerless to stop it.
They were completely lost. There's a couple of like we had noticed some issues with England that they had solved, and they've definitely solved a lot of issues. They have a great centre partnership now. They have a great back row now.
Depth in the 7 position, where last year there was no 7, so it's like, that's great. No,
fantastic. And so they have a load of positives in terms of that. But one of the trends that had sort of disappeared, but we hadn't necessarily noticed that it had been solved, was this idea that they like go long periods without scoring. That they don't hold leads well. Like, it was very reminiscent in the sense that that South African performance where they started with 3 quick tries. They had the game under control, and they didn't really know how to manage it from there. And then all of a sudden South Africa, much like Scotland, just came at them with just a hunger and a variety of play that was, first of all, like very difficult to stop because it's outstanding rugby, led by Faf de Klerk instead of Finn Russell on the day. But it was similar kind of stuff that was going on. And England just, again, they couldn't adjust when they got their hands on the ball. They kept thinking, well, we get those tries like we did earlier on, instead of maybe just like, the game right now needs to settle down. We need some slow phases of getting, and we need to get Scotland used to the fact that they're not still scoring tries. Now the game is here. We'll peg them back, we'll make them exit, and we'll have a 15-point buffer as the game settles down. And they never did that. They didn't do that at all.
Which was it's questionable because it feels like it was crying out for it. I don't know what that is about. I can't put my finger on it, but it is a trend with this team. Similarly affected them in the Wales performance. Like Wales, even though they were behind at half-time by a decent enough score, like England are pretty bad at holding on to it, but they also just go too long without scoring themselves. They really do shut themselves out of the game. And for periods, they look like the best team in the world in that game. Like, they were amazing in execution in that first 30 minutes. And it's just that difference when probably a little bit of their energy, the pep and the zip in their step is probably gone a bit after 50 minutes of rugby. but also like they just need to find more ways of scoring and playing themselves back into those games. It's really an oddity that they can't really seem to adjust and temper that on the fly. I still don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it, other than that it keeps recurring, so it is a trend. But it would be very concerning if I were an English fan, and it's like that's why I think it's kind of deserving.
Jones is bringing in a mental skills coach.
Maybe that's what it. Or you could just bring in the Georgians again, and we could have a nice.
Well, he's bringing in a coach. He seems to think that it comes from the World Cup. I don't know why, but he seems to think it comes from the World Cup exit, as it has given them some mental hang-ups.
Probably has, but
I'm sure it has.
That's expected. Yeah, sure. Ireland have plenty of them as well. But I still think there's a lot positive about it. It's not all doom and gloom, but it's important that they didn't even get the 4 wins. I think three wins and a draw is about right for them. Like, they were flying high after the Dublin showing, and that was a tremendous performance, and their highlight of the tournament was going to Dublin and getting that scalp in such emphatic fashion. But it was like all the talk after it, as if like, oh, we're back, we're completely solved, problem solved.
There was some smack talked in the week about how they were going to dominate Scotland as well.
Yeah.
It's like Eddie Jones said something along the lines of, it's all going to come down to who's going to be a bit more physical and who's going to be a bit more intense, and that's going to be us. And that was sort of the way he put it.
Yeah.
It's like who's going to be a bit more magic? Finn Russell.
Finn Russell is the kryptonite for that.
Yeah.
But it's they've gone a long way towards addressing some of those problems. Stumbled upon a very, very nice centre partnership, very balanced in Slade and Tuolagi. You're questioning the 15 jersey, probably up for grabs more than just relying on Daly.
I think it is.
But yeah, they need collectively to be a bit more disciplined. It wasn't actually their downfall at the weekend, but they do have a tendency to give away sloppy penalties and turnovers.
Discipline doesn't just mean not giving away penalties. No, discipline just means like sticking to a system, not being sloppy, not being kind of loose and crazy, just focused on your job a little bit more.
Sure, and it's like that's a recurring theme, and they also need to stop taking 50-minute periods off in games.
It's not just off, it's just something happens and they can't recover from it. And it's not that they just decide to take 50 minutes off.
No,
it's
not.
They just can't rebound from a negative thing that happens in a game.
And that's a concern, because that's a necessary skill in any team's toolbox.
Negative moments against Argentina, they'll have negative moments.
There's always
France.
Negative moments in games, even in games that you win and dominate. Sure, even Wales dominated that game against Ireland, and there were a few negative moments from them as well, but it doesn't come down to all that. You need to have a bit of rebound ability.
Exactly, and from England's perspective, they were second anyway. It's much of a muchness that they don't retain the Calcutta Cup, so they'll have to go to Murrayfield if they want to win it back, which I think is probably good.
Yeah.
But it's probably a bigger deal for Scotland than it was for England, because at 31-0, like, it was just all very negative for Scotland, the whole tournament, the whole everything, and then they were going to go back to their clubs just feeling shite. And it was very important for them to rebound and to
show something.
Put together
before the tournament was over. They had to show something, and they did.
Confident. They've retained the Calcutta Cup, so the Six Nations actually has tangible value for them. They've retained the Calcutta Cup for the first time. When was the last time they retained it? I mean, gee whiz.
They haven't won in Twickenham since 1983. We were informed on the day, which is amazing. Like, that's a crazy track record, though. They really need to remedy.
Twickenham's a tough place to go.
They could have done with seeing that one out, but that being said, a 38-all draw, an absolutely fantastic game of rugby. Like,
so they're coming into a World Cup and a end of European season more immediately with a Calcutta Cup and with some positivity, and it's huge,
and an ability to play the style of rugby they want to play with not the ideal personality or the personnel there.
Put Finn on the edge and make him let him do his thing. It's got to be that. Like, I remember I read a Ben Smith article, not Highlanders Ben Smith, but journalist Ben Smith for Rugby Pass, who was arguing on the sort of value in the aftermath of this game of why Scotland need to sort of go all in on Finn, is what he put it. And it was like it's that's where the wins against the top teams are going to come from.
It's their only way of competing, because otherwise they're
just not quite there.
Not quite there as well. And you can see that, like, the Ireland game is probably a good indication of that. When they lost, Stewie Hogg was a downside, but it was like they were in the game for large periods. They're definitely competitive, but it was also apparent that they weren't quite at the level, and that's the problem. Whereas when you give and it was all disjointed at that time, nothing was clicking. They were losing players, dropping like flies. Obviously, with Hogg gone out, that probably threw so much of what they were doing during the week is now out the window, because it was probably a lot of Finn and Hogg kind of trying to
and Hogg and Seymour and that wide channel have good telepathy, and that's where Ireland can be weak defending that. But you're
that being said, actually shout out to Maitland, who I actually think had a great showing from fullback, really good in fact, like for both off coverage and counter attack was really sharp, and it was his best game of the tournament.
Agreed.
And it's curious to see, I don't think I've seen him at fullback before, but he played really, really well. It was super impressive from Scotland. I was glad that the pack stepped up the way they did. Hamish Watson is huge for them. The difference
just takes a bit of the workload off the other guys as well, and can leave them a bit unshackled.
He's a little bit more impactful than like Richie had a fine tournament considering what he was asked to do, but he was also probably slightly outclassed in that position against all those teams that they faced as well.
Not even outclassed, outmuscled, I would say. Because he actually does have a lot of class.
It does, but then you were seeing pictures of like a really tired Strauss having to start at 8 and doing a lot of work, but then at 50 minutes making a few fatigue-based errors. Hamish Watson is a Duracell bunny who will go all day and is also so combative in all forms of contact, be it trying to pilfer ball at the ruck, but his carrying has come on leaps and bounds this year.
I'm really looking forward to sort of pivot as we're going to in the near future to domestic rugby. I'm looking forward to seeing him take on Tadhg Byrne in Edinburgh Munster. That's like now
a curious matchup.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, who's going to steal the most? I don't know, but I'll definitely back Hamish to get a few. He's rough and tumble ready. Like he's so. You can't but admire him because he's not actually the biggest guy, but he plays like a...
But he's deceptively strong.
He is, he's got
he's
that
one of those guys who's just... You see them sometimes where they just look like a normal guy, and then you get into a contact with them and it's like, fuck, this isn't a normal man.
No, not at all. He's a monster. He's a little monster. And he is. He improved their chance. Like, since coming back last week, they look a different team with him. They look like their pack can actually make plays proactively rather than just kind of stay with it. And so like it's all positive. Barkley's obviously back training now as well. Their injury crisis will hopefully be gone. It'll be a different Scotland side that they see. It raises good headaches now because for all their lack of depth and injury crisis, which was the tone of the whole tournament, now they've had to blood players. And they've got some that are keepers. Like I think Sam Johnson was one.
Well, if Dunbar comes back, that is a headache. But it
is a headache, but it's a good one to have because where there were no options before, Stewie Hogg were irreplaceable before. Blair Kinghorn has shown promise, and now Maitland has shown good takers from fullback. It's good to have those options. It's like Stewie's still plan A, but nice to have
Finn, and Finn is plan A, and that's the point. Is that with Finn in the mix,
that's one area they have no coverage for. Like if Finn goes down, it's all over. It's over. And that's a problem. But
that was that Pete Horn game when he was a 10. It was just a very very ugly picture. Was that against France? It was against France. After Toulouse did the job. Toulouse winning it for France by taking out Finn.
That was so curious. We did mention that before, but Toulouse in their test window recalled none of their French players, gave them the week off, called up Giraldini from Italy, and injured Finn when they were playing Racing in the U Arena, and so took him out of the French game. It's like
got the W for themselves and France.
What a stellar what a stellar season from Toulouse. They're actually just
and Giraldini went off injured when Italy were playing France as well. Maybe it's just those extra minutes.
Probably is. He's an out fella. But it's
all the plays. But that's an aside.
They're very cool. It is a bit of an aside. But well done to Scotland. They were deserving of the win. Shame they blew it, but well done to England for digging it out because it would have been a very ignominious day. I would have enjoyed it how ignominious it would have been. It would have been a fun post-match presser.
It already was.
I know. Yeah.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
Owen Farrell was looking there like he'd been like a disciplined school child, sitting there with his teacher going,
meekly. Yes.
I gave away the charge down, and then the intercept. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I will not give away intercept. Written out on the board a few times. So that it was just a tremendous game and a wonderful. Like I was kind of doubting. We were questioning just the layout because it was Wales's Grand Slam. Obviously, like we were questioning the sequence of events as far as the games, but then it turned out to actually be perfect. Certainly from everyone's point of view. Like the Irish fans needed cheering up. I'm sure the Welsh probably enjoyed watching what the Scots were up to as well. You can comment below and let us know what you thought, but I'm pretty sure everyone, bar the English, was enjoying it as well.
It was enjoyable, just in the sense that it was
wonderful rugby, and it was like that's what was most pleasing to me,
and
because like
the Six Nations has missed Scotland this year.
Yeah,
the real Scotland, the Scotland of the last few years with Vern Cotter and Gregor Townsend, that actually upped the tempo.
That's where that slow pace has come from.
Yeah,
and you're right in saying that that tournament as a whole has been played at a lower pace, which is why this game was so welcome to see it, because as well as being just a stellar advert for European and Northern Hemisphere rugby, that is a perfect way to sign off of proceedings for 2019 Six Nations. It's also just great to see Scotland show something. That's what we were begging for before the tournament was out. Show something
important for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for watching that video. If it's your first time here, please leave a like and subscribe down below, and leave a comment as well if you enjoyed it, because we enjoyed the conversation.